So now we're going to look at how dynamic HTML is served with ASP.NET. So recall from before, dealing with static HTML is very simple. So your client just requests over internet, sends an HTTP request to a web server who basically just reads it from a file system and sends it back to a client. So nothing changes, everything is static and set in stone, and it's a very simple method of communication. Now, when you have dynamic content, there is a lot more work involved. So this is how it looks like in case of ASP.NET. So client requests through HTTP protocol something from web server, then ASP.NET web form is a static content. It's a static file on the system, but then it gets processed by a .NET platform. And that web form, because it contains several different pieces, they all interact together on .NET engine and then generate the final HTML output. So we have visual data controls, we have standard HTML controls, we have binding between standard controls and visual controls. And both of them can access something called data sources, typically SQL data sources that will go to database. Also, you can request certain files like images, media, and so on from hard drive. So all of those together interact to create a final result. And the most basic building blocks of ASP.NET, besides original HTML tags, are something called server controls, and there are tags in ASPX pages that are understood by server. They are specific by that because they have runNet server attribute, which signals to .NET Engine that those should be executed on the server side. They also have unique ID as well, and that's useful so you can programmatically identify the ID of a component that's being executed and that you can manipulate as well. All of those server controls must be properly closed or self-closing, so that don't, like BR or HR tag, they have closing slash in the opening tag. They all exist within a form element, and because most of them are interactive and need to send information back and forth to the server. And they make a website essentially, those are the components that enable a website to be dynamic. And they are designed to run on server and generate HTML, and also can respond to different user events. So if a user presses certain buttons, enters data in fields, and so on, there will be certain functions that will be invoked based on those user-derived events. And we're going to look at those in more detail.